Hello, I'm Six at Black Woman Being, and I'm making this video because I posted this tweet and received a response. The response being, could you please explain and expand as to why you believe that to reach Mount Olympus, you should study the 12th house? Like, why does the orgasm and the 12th house have anything to do with each other? Simply put, I would imagine that there are 3 levels of orgasm. And I think that the 5th house, the 8th house, and the 12th house are the houses that signify where those levels can be opened. Your birth chart is a mansion or a property, a galaxy. Just roll with the example here. Your birth chart is essentially a mansion, and in the mansion is 12 different rooms. Each room is a room dedicated to a facet of your personality. The first house is dedicated to you, yourself. The second house dedicated to your values, to which I ask that you subscribe to this video because I will be uploading a video soon about how the second house shows up in sex astrology. So if you want to learn more about sex astrology, please follow that account and also subscribe to my Vibely for exclusive sex astrology content. If the birth chart is a mansion and the 12 houses represent where you house a certain part of your persona and where you act out of a specific part of your persona, then the zodiac sign signifies what color you're going to paint that specific facet or aspect of your house, of yourself, of your room. The zodiac sign can also give you clues as to the wallpaper, the general feel of the room. The zodiac sign is essentially the interior design. The house is essentially the room in which the mansion holds, and the birth chart is the mansion. So when you're getting into different planets are essentially like the statues or the tables or different structural items that essentially exist in that specific room, in that specific house. So, for example, Jupiter is a planet that reflects knowledge as well as expansion. So, in, let's say, Jupiter first house, you're always growing yourself, you're always learning more about yourself. Your Leo first house, Jupiter in Leo, so it's like you are always expanding yourself as a creative. You're always thinking about new ways that you can innovate a facet of your personality. People with Jupiter first house Leo might end up finding that they are really into exploring different makeup styles, or they could be really into creating self-portraits. Anything that is creative and helps them learn about themselves is what they'd be interested in. Now that there is probably a foundational knowledge and understanding of these different conceptual ideas of the houses, the planets, and the zodiac energies, and essentially how they play out, we can get into why I think of the orgasm, the with an additional E, like the orgasm we're all essentially aiming for if we are ready for it and want to go there with ourselves or another person or a collective of people. I am not judging. Who am I to judge? I think poly people are great. To further support the point that I'm making here, I will be referencing Roy Gillett's The Secret Language of Astrology, the illustrated key to unlocking the secrets to the stars. Yes, it is illustrated. It's sort of like the book Sapiens, where if you got the illustration, you're still getting a pretty solid book. In fact, everybody learns differently, and that's perfectly okay. Sometimes illustrated guides are how we learn. I am working on an illustrated guide. It's hard because I'm not super great at art, so work in progress. According to Gillett, I hope I am pronouncing his name correctly. Gillett. Somebody yell at me in the comments if I'm incorrect. The 12th house represents how we serve ourselves. It is ruled by Jupiter in Pisces and represents the experiences that require inner privacy. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. So the 12th house, multiple orgasms. I'm going to deliver this message. Multiple orgasms is definitely going to be whoa. Enlightening orgasms, still going to be 12th house. Still going to be 12th house. When a planet enters the 12th house, in some ways it's like entering a fog. It's like, at best I would imagine being on a cloud. I have a Pisces placement, so I kind of get an idea of what this is like. It's like being in a cloud, and it might be soothing and comfortable, and you might see weird things going on in the cloud, and you just navigate the cloud the best you can, and sometimes you can become lost in it. In some ways, I believe that the orgasm can be so deeply intimate. It can be such a release. It can be transcendent that you may transcend restraint over yourself. And that can be embarrassing. Some people don't deserve your 12th house orgasm, which is why it's great that you do your 12th house orgasm with yourself. According to Roy Gillett, the 12th house is ruled by Neptune. So Neptune and Jupiter, multiple orgasms, and also idealized orgasms, orgasms while under the influence. And people often go under the influence, sometimes to reach new spiritual heights. Whether or not that is something I believe in, I'm not going to recommend doing so on this platform. Oh my gosh. Be good, drink responsibly. We still have a lot of conversations to have regarding the ethics of intoxicated sex. That all being said, the 8th house orgasm is an orgasm that is very much anatomically received. Someone is able to stimulate your nervous system just enough that you have the ejaculation, you have the post-coitus glow. There's this very, I think of the 8th house not really as spiritual, even though there is that depth to it, but the spirituality of truly stepping outside of your internal self and going into this external spiritual realm, that is all 12th house. Also super idolized and sometimes overrated. 8th house is very much, it is what it is with another person. 5th house is the orgasm that you receive from masturbation. Why do I further support this idea? Let's talk about it. Below the chart, so night sec of the chart, what's going on at nighttime, which means the lights are off and you're just doing what you want to do to enjoy yourself. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth houses. 6 houses. 12 divided by 2 is 6. What? Okay, we continue. Those houses are for you. The orgasm does not inherently need a partner. So the 8th house, yet again, is one form of orgasm that relies on another partner. Very anatomical, physiological things going on. The 5th house, same vibe, because it's also right next to the house of health. You have the 5th house, which is the house of pleasure, creativity, etc., etc., etc. We all know the words. 6th house is the house of health, right next to each other. What happens when you pleasure yourself and fall in love often results in things that you have to think about relating to health. Then you get into relationships, which is really funny because, again, this is all self. Like, then you get into the 7th house of relationships. Once you hit the descendant, that's when you're starting to think about things that you're doing with other people. It's not, oh my gosh, like I'm masturbating for another person, by me, with me. No, that's all fifth house. So before the seventh house, between 1 to 6 is all you, which is, that means fifth house is the house of masturbation. Seventh house is when you start getting into other people, things that you share. The eighth house is about sharing, shared resources, what someone brings to the sexual table. That is a shared resource. Sex is also a resource, especially in societies where women and feminine beings don't really have as much equal rights. Sex is definitely a resource. It's a form of power under patriarchy. If you've ever lived in a patriarchal society, then I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. Eighth house orgasm. Like this is sometimes even very cold. Like this could be a very like transactional house as well. This could be the sex worker house, eighth house. So there's not really like fully on that depth. It's, you can orgasm without even wanting to. You can orgasm while you're in a state of fear. Like there are so many different orgasms that can happen. And that's also like how the eighth house becomes very dark. So there is that type of orgasm. The orgasm that you have when you are with a partner that you really, really want to be with, that you're fully immersed in, that you're like, I can just let it all go. You might have to prepare for what happens in the 12th house. That being said, if you sit here and you actually are having not only like this pleasure for yourself, fifth house, the pleasure with your partner, eighth house, like these houses get supercharged, and then you have this eighth house orgasm. It is the orgasm. I am sorry. I'm sorry if you thought that the orgasm lived in the eighth house. I'm so sorry. It is one type of orgasm. If you think that little death is anything compared to the transcendent multiple orgasms in the 12th house, if you found this video helpful and would like to learn more about sex astrology, go to the link below and join my Vibely community, Astrology, where we talk about sex astrology and sex. Definitely have a whole resource bank there. Eventually there's going to be cool exclusive videos. Stuff like this is probably going to be here, but I'm going to put it in the exclusive section. Also, if you could follow my Instagram, where there are daily reels about astrology, as well as my Twitter, where sometimes I just tweet into the void while I am under the influence of my medication. And by medication, I mean, I don't know the right word, medicinal cannabis. I was like, how do I say the word to be taken seriously? But yes, I will be under the influence of my medicinal cannabis while I am tweeting. So if you judge me, then you're really just judging somebody who got help. Bye. I hope that you all have 12th house orgasms.